Hi everybody, thank you so much for joining me. Polina here talking to you about the new event in the sky, which is the full moon happening on the 29th of September. It is going to be a quantic jump of a moon because it is going to just be past the ascendant. So that is, of course, very fortunate for us. And as I've said earlier, a lot of things need to leave and needed to leave for a long time. And many people can replace one situation with another as we are passing the DC. And the DC, the descendant line, is the space between Virgo and Libra. And of course, we have had the equinox. So it's a very nice and normal time to pass things on to other people. It's really nice to also leave a situation or a circumstance. It's really nice to get rid of a certain circumstance in your life. It is nice to say no, thank you, and yes, please. So if you want to play musical chairs in a way, or if you want to end one situation and end up in another, I feel that this is one of those really successful moons because as we go through the ascendant line with the moon, this means things start to change or things start to hurt really bad. So what do I mean is old, outdated realities, things that are not working, friends that were never really friends, and also people in a situation or in communities that are not really contained or not really honest, that's going to become incredibly painful. It is already going to be painful for all of us to notice things, and it's very easy to see things for what they are. Libra this year is going to be an incredible energy for recognizing things and not having to second guess them anymore. You don't really have to see a psychic to see the forest for the trees, and it's very, very easy to see also people's real momentum, people's real incentive, also people's wishes and their personality or character traits. And if you were really kind of wondering, should I be there or not, if you've ever kind of had those like squishy moments thinking, I'm not sure if this is good enough for me, or I'm not sure if this could really work in the end, things are going to either be very, very clear or they're going to start to rot. So the rotting, the signs of rotting, what are those? Uh, so like, I suppose that's when, things are unsightly and day by day things get heavier. Day by day, those thinking patterns jump to extremes and those wishes get stronger. And also fights can happen, or just that tightness in the air, that awkwardness, that can happen. So what I would probably suggest during this time, if you're experiencing a rotting situation, things that are just going south, you need to step up and be assertive and no longer allow yourself to have these experiences anymore because it is painful. And it can also cause a lot of disillusionment later anyway, because we don't want these things to happen in our lives. We don't have the time for it. We don't have the time to suffer or to suffer gracefully, as they would say. We don't really want to do that anymore. And also people that have been holding tight, holding back, making also a scene sometimes, imagining that they're very loyal, even though they don't have to be, trying super hard, like in the course of study, trying super hard with that best friend, trying so much to make the best impressions possible. This is definitely the time when things are going to go, nah. And sometimes it is like Freudian slips, unable to make appointments, can't make it to work, cannot show up and be there for somebody or something. You can't do it anymore. So this is what this whole time is about. And please take advantage. We are going through the DC. Also, Fortune is going to be right next to Mercury, and she is heading for the DC as well. So it's very lucky for all of us to walk out of that bad game, come out of that negative predisposition, and to become a new, more robust, creative, better looking, better feeling, better functioning human. So it's not all about function, although. So we have definitely Neptune in the sky, and he's pretty close to the moon, and she's going through the ascendant line. So what can I tell you here? And also, just recently, Neptune has been directly opposite the Sun, and he kind of is still opposite the Sun, and he's definitely opposite Mercury at the moment. So what can I say? Neptune does have a big game for you. Maybe he has a big open gaze at the situation. Some people are very open-hearted and very free. There are some people that are very cheesy and not very up to date about some of their life or life results, which is okay. There are some very, very big heroic feelings. Also, certain people are going back to the past. They're jumping out of their seat to do something they don't have to do. Also, people falling in love with somebody that is not necessarily acceptable to fall in love with, or is just not necessary for the next plan. So this Neptune is kind of rocking us. He is getting those wishes spoken of. These secret words, also this sentimentality, emotionality, speaking in tongues, wanting a romance, wanting something that's never happened before. Also wanting to be very, very real and very connected. It's like, why not? Why can I not be that today? Or why can I not be that anymore? So, for example, I want to be with my high school sweetheart. I want to be in love as if for the first time. I want to make a career out of, I don't know, the fashion industry, the music industry. So there's a lot of this like, why not? Why not me? Why not today? And then eventually it probably will get washed out. It seems like it does get washed out pretty quickly, this energy of wishful thinking and wanting something for the best of all involved. There's going to be some very big words spoken during this time, like for the greatness of all humankind, for the betterment of the world, like all of this kind of stuff. And then this Neptune gets washed out really quick. So what do I mean by that? It means, like, for example, even if you have a really big career in mind, or just really, really sensuous and emotional feeling about something or somebody, it may not last. So it's not a long, deep, and heavy spell, because the Sun is heading towards Mars. Also, Neptune is going to be passed by the Moon, and then eventually, inevitably, she's going to come into that Chiron North Node energy. So she's going to be like, look, what am I actually doing today? So quite a lot of people are going to have some reawakenings, and the mind sort of naturally has to come back to the nitty-gritty of life. Is this affordable? Is this doable? Is this viable? Is this really what I want to be? Is this really what I want to do? So in some cases, I feel there's going to be a lot of wailing and loss. Some people are going to have to go through a lot to gain that confidence back, or to regain their memories. Also, I see some people have been drinking, like in a way, drinking their life away, or just enjoying a phase. And now you have to know, hey, that was a phase. Now this is really hard. This is hard. Now this could be very big, or this could be very small. This could be very light, or this could be very strong. And what I mean is, sometimes people understand, hey, that guy I thought I would spend the rest of my life with is a phase. Or like this incredible work of art that I've created is just a phase. Or like, I thought I would be this is a phase. It's hard if you, for example, have committed, if you have decided to get married, for example, if you have made yourself a part of a collective or a culture, and if you have fully signed up and you didn't really know it, but your heart was taking you away rather than forward. And sometimes this happens after, like, say, I don't know, 5 years of connection to a dream or a phase, and then you understand that is a phase and now it is leaving. And in some cases it could be just a couple of weeks, like you've planned yourself a life and now you're kind of looking at it and you get it and you're kind of saying, hey, actually, wait a minute, that's a phase that might not take me very long to debunk. And yes, I am an avid debunker, and I would tell you, really, most of all, a lot of this is just about humankind and human kindness. A lot of this energy is about pussyfooting around and not actually saying that main thing that you're feeling. It's a lot about holding back and being kind of young and cute and hopeful while you're actually telling fibs. We do have Lilith next to Juno and Venus and Leo still, so she's also in a very weird sort of square bind with Jupiter retrograde, with Uranus attached to him, and they're both in retrograde, yes. So there's like a very, very weird, needy, and unnecessary way that I guess people would have been clowning around, or they would have been clowned around. And I'm feeling also quite a lot of, maybe also, not necessarily, but could be, women needing something that they shouldn't have to have. For example, I want to be in love with this strapping young man over there, not actually recognizing that he's married, or not taking into consideration that he's got a completely different life plan. And also decisions like, for example, I want to go abroad, I want to wear the beautiful gown, I want to be the woman that everybody's looking at, I want to be famous, or I want to be pretty, I want to be fresh. Suddenly wanting to be very extroverted also. In some people's cases, it might be about their grooming and their family history. So, for example, wishing to fight boredom or fight away like disease or stereotypes by wishing to enable oneself to be another type of stereotype or archetype. Like, I want to be the beautiful woman on the beach. I don't want my 9 to 5 job, you know. So there's like a very, very simple plan. I feel that some people have to go out and do it just to kind of kick their own butts. And for some people, they don't have to be a part of this, because maybe a lot of this is just about wish and whim and fantasy. And there are quite a lot of people that are wishing for things that shouldn't have been in the first place. For example, rekindling a twin flame quote unquote relationship that has ended some 10 years ago, you know. So quite a lot of it is outdated, and there are some things that we've been kind of groomed or stereotyped into accepting or expecting. So in certain cases, it's just going to be like, oh, woe's me, and it's not going to lead to that much. So also the other thing, of course, catching my eye is this interesting way that fortune is aspected. Fortune, Mercury are at a trine with Pluto retrograde, and I suppose also at a trine with Jupiter and Uranus, sitting in a conjunction in Taurus. So we have Fortune, Mercury in Virgo, we have Pluto retrograde in Capricorn, and we have Jupiter, Uranus, and Sedna in retrograde, all of them, except for Mercury in Taurus. So what I can say to you is we have a lot of questions, and we have a lot of needs and big strong Ds and actions that want to be surfaced. Like, people want to really give that push. Like, it's not just like, oh, I guess I'll pay for that. No, it's an awesome vibration. You know, sometimes people are very heavy on the mind, and they've been thinking about something a lot, and then suddenly they have this needed vibration, vitality, or altruism to finally say, well, I'm just going to try, you know, stuff it. I'm going to put my effort into this, you know. So there are going to be some very big minds and very big pockets, maybe very big people wanting to spend as much energy and truth, or as much grace as they can on a project. So this could be very interesting for big enterprise. In certain cases, it's going to go wrong. But in many cases, yeah, there is this very big brawn and altruism. So I'm feeling like there are people waking up and they have strength in their body, or they have sufficient altruism and courage to be able to take some things on that they couldn't have taken on in the last few years. So it's like, have you ever thought about doing this? Have you ever thought about doing that? Maybe you had something on the back burner, as this is also a very energizing moon, obviously, in Aries. If you had something on the back burner and you didn't think you would probably have the brawn to do it now, it might be coming out of you naturally anyway. But I would be kind of careful, because self-esteem, representation in society, what you thought you would be as a kid, how you were groomed to carry yourself, what you were told and taught as an adult, is also a factor, because this is the most societal time in the world. These first few degrees of Libra next to Pallas and Seppo, the sun is very, very kind of dark on the details. The sun wants to get things done, and sometimes, yeah, we have like actually a lot of asteroids at the moment in Libra, and it likes things to be a certain way. It is going to be kind of a complicated month for some people that are very tied into some kind of like political or social organization that has nothing to do with it, nothing to do with you personally, nothing to do with the world. It is kind of a repetitive cycle that I think we need to end, actually. So if you have a look at the chart, I mean, we've got Humia, we've got a retrograde South Node, we've got right next to retrograde South Node, we've got Mars, we've got Make, the mother planet, we've got Seppo, and we've got Pallas next to the sun. I mean, this is like a lot of hurt and a lot of what ifs, and would the world be okay if I did this today, and maybe I should strike up another conversation with my ex, and maybe I should try that career that my parents wanted for me. So a lot of it is concepts of the deceased. A lot of this is concepts from the future as well that we may not necessarily have the power to achieve. So yes, there's brawn, there's personality. The moon is looking forward to coming up to Aries, confidence, North Node, purpose, I suppose, or drive, and Chiron, expertise, all in retrograde in Aries. So the moon is looking forward to having that push and that very plush essence to really put it all on blackjack, like put it all together. We are looking forward to also gamble away parts of our lives. Now, this is interesting. People want to get rid of their life and get a new life. And also, it's very easy to, for example, take all that money, all that savings, all that hereditary money, or to take your degree or the past and just put it all on blackjack. So I'm just looking at people at the moment, and it's looking like they want to exchange what they've got for something else. And some of the thinking patterns that are coming up are ancient patterns, and like, don't get me wrong, I'm trying to also respect that within myself and other people around me. Some of the things you think you want to do are kind of programs that have been sitting there for thousands of years. Like, for example, a sudden need to get married or to have a baby, or a sudden need to build a home. There could actually be not a lot wrong with it as well, but please consider this is the time of contracts and truths. Libra wants us to not necessarily sign up, but just to be compassionate and happy with where we are at. And some people are just going to be stuffed into pockets and areas in life where they just basically need it, or in some way pacified. It's like, here, just make a baby, like, just be happy with that. So in a way, I'm not trying to be derogatory to that, but like, sometimes, like, a sudden need to get married, have children, a sudden need to change your career, or to start a big project that may not necessarily be natural for you, is a kind of kiddish way to really wish to fit in, even if it is not optimum, even if it has nothing inside of it. Now, this is something to talk about. Pawns in the game, people that have nothing inside, realities that are empty realities. So for example, nutrition-free food, low nutritional food, meaning like you're eating and it's just like passive food, like there's just like empty carbs. There are some foods out there in the market, like, even if it looks good, even if they're plant-based foods, they're not necessarily the healthiest and they have nothing inside of them. So in the same way, a reality could be like that. In some people's cases, they're just going to be sort of shown a little nook, like a little reality. Here, have this little reality, and this little reality doesn't do nothing for you, and it might never help you, but it feels so nice and clean, and it looks good, and it especially looks good to others. So we are in a rabbit here, and quite a lot of people are kind of thrown all around the place by what other people have been thinking about them or deliberately also doing with them. So in a sense, there's a lot of unconscious and unhappy behavior, but it's like, well, at least it's safe. Or like, well, my mom likes it. It's like, well, I think my friends would enjoy it. So there's like a kind of a nookish feeling. And in that nook, in that little game, in that small vibration, or in that, how can I say, mediocre reality, there might not be anything. There might just be some of the same stuff. Same stuff happens. It's just a slightly different environment. So, how people say, I'm sorry, same shit, different day. It could also be like that. So how to understand, like, what to do here, breaking through indoctrination and dogma and karma, and breaking through these different cyclical thinking patterns, thought patterns that have made you decide a life that you might already kind of recognize as semi-mediocre, or kind of like semi-vulnerable life. Vulnerability, like, for example, studying a subject in your 40s, having to catch up on a school degree, starting at the bottom, having a small position in life. Please watch out for this. Watch out for this, like having a mediocre job, having a low income job, having to do many things for other people, having to do many things to compete or contend, try to wish that all away. So if you are somebody that's already walking into a mediocre or a very biased reality where you are, for example, the service person, where you have nobody around you, but you still have to contend, when you have to keep up with things, when you have to like let go of your own thoughts and patterns to be able to be, how can I say, understood and connected with other people, if you have to forget your own needs and replace your natural ideology with other people's ideology, you have to grow up. You have to grow up. So niche experiences, especially people older in years, if you suddenly have been jolted into starting a career again, if you have been kind of told off by somebody, if you've been made a little child, if somebody looks at you as a little child, or this next reality that you're going into is a childish reality and it has no laws and it's got no systems that support you, or if you have recently landed it back where you were, for example, you're staying at your mom's house, you are in your previous neighborhood, or you are asking your boss from the past for employment, or you're trying for dear life to get back with an ex, you have got it wrong. So this is how I'm going to do this both. How to weasel out, get out of service-based realities and just like mediocre relationships and things that are just tired when the moon is going through the ascendant, which means you can have a new life. Equinox already suggested that we could have a completely new life. But what if your new life is kind of like Groundhog's Day and it just resembles your previous life way too much? And you also may be understanding or realizing with today's world, you don't necessarily want to go out there spending all your cash. You don't necessarily want to go out there having too much wishful thinking either. So like, how do you manage between these hyperboles struck by Juno, Venus and Lilith, direct in Leo, or like how do you counteract all this power and pressure and the push to like make it something? It's like, well, I want to mean something. There's like a lot of stuff about meaning. I want to be somebody, or like I want to finally get there, or like I want to get married. I don't even care if we fight. Like I just want to be in this place. I want a little bit of sun. I want a nice place under the sun. There's like quite a lot of feelings involved also. And I did say just previously, it's kind of about growing up and kind of maturing. So what I've got going on now that's kind of been interesting and easy is like you kind of have to, in a way, it's not survive, it's like suffice with what is wholeheartedly yours and what's working 100%. This is really, really hard for some people, so this is about counting your blessings, being grateful what you actually have. So I know there is like this very also prudish side of me that doesn't maybe want to fully like connect the dots here, but I'll try to wake up as I'm reading this. Certain things are fine as they are. There are certain relationships that probably will not get better than they are. There's probably a plateau. For some people, there's going to be probably not a lot more that you can make out of a job. There's probably going to be not that many more friends that you're going to meet in a certain area of town where you are. You probably clocked it. The game has been clocked, at least to some degree. So that means like, this is it. Like here's your house, like here's your partner, or it's like, well, this is it. There's some kind of epitome. Then here is where we get jittery. And this is where we have the little inner child come out, and in some cases, the little inner adult. And it says, I don't want to go to school. I want to do something interesting. I want to do something cool. I want to do something great. And that's a little interesting thing that's also been happening to me to a degree. If you have yearnings to be somewhere or be somebody that you don't yet fully have within yourself, if you're really, really yearning for changes in your life, please consider facts and truths, and please allow yourself to also wish and dream, because I think that one of the most important parts of this moon, even though it's an Aries moon, it is still a full moon, is to kind of like go with the flow, go with the heart, and sometimes the bodily consciousness or the heart consciousness is a little bit bigger than thought and patterns, wanting to analyze patterns. You're probably like, I don't want to analyze patterns, I just want, or like, I love, or I feel. Okay, so also there is narratives and storylines. Very much in certain cases is going to be nothing but power and push, and they're going to be very easy, realistic, and associative goals that are backed up on many levels. In some cases, it's going to be very vulnerable places and disassociative goal finding or like friend picking. And then there's going to be something in between the two. And I think for most of us people, there's going to be either power given and well received and put into those strong definites. And then maybe, of course, you know, you get power, you have more oomph, or you have more brawn, or you have more relevance. And maybe sometimes some get spilt. For example, you've been given a lot of strength, and some of that strength you spend on an argument. Like that happens sometimes. I know that sometimes when I'm full of energy or power, somebody will want to initiate a slightly uncomfortable situation with me, or an argument, you know, and it's always like right in the minute where I really need that energy the most, you know. So sometimes it's just like a resource, it's like harvest. You've harvested some energy and somebody else wants you to spill it, or you by accident do. So that can happen. But the main thing basically is not to get too excited, but in certain cases, even if you go the wrong way, which is kind of like what also Aries energy, Aries to Libra energy is about. It's kind of about being a puppet or a pawn sometimes, not even recognizing it. Even if you go the wrong way, there is a certain type of resolute that is seeking you, or there is a certain type of change, but you have to kind of move quick. So for instance, really wishing for something or wanting a change in your life or your career, or really, really definitely needing to meet that person now. I mean, I get it, but like some of the time it won't be like the worst case scenario, but it will not bring you any happiness. But there are kind of weird interchanges. Like for example, you have like caught in a bus, like on a journey. If you could imagine, you're like going on a journey, and it actually may be just a very silly little journey, but something will intersect, like the bus will break down and you'll have to go the other way or something like that. There are lots of people that are very saved and very blessed during this time by not having to do that which they thought they would need to do. So for example, walking out of rekindling with your ex-partner, or walking out of trying out that experience, you know, if there was like a crazy experience you got lined up, by being saved. Like it could be saved in really weird ways, like being late for a certain appointment, having no friends that would support you, not having enough money to do something, forgetting your card at home, not answering the text messages, the text message, sleeping through the alarm clock, or just being kind of picked up by somebody else or something else. I like that feeling, you know, being picked up by something or somebody else. But this is it, like, you know, so this is the question. Are you a full-grown, mature adult? So I know in some cases, Aries is going to ping out those qualities that are immature and that are also improbable, like being a wishful thinker, or being kind of not about irrelevant things, you know, having an irrelevant mental state, or thinking or doing things that make absolutely no sense, being impractical. This time around is going to be very easy to spot those people that don't really have anything behind them. So for example, being raised in a family where you were not treated very well, or being around people like all your life that were somehow pushing you down instead of raising you up, and that really shows. And sometimes it's very interesting. It could be that your whole life has been kind of like a dream, because you never really fully fulfilled yourself, or like filled your space in the world. So like this is quite a harsh game also. I mean, this is like survival of the fittest to some degree. In some cases, people are going to be bonked and donked around. There's going to be people treated as fools, and there's going to be definitely a lot of other people making money, you know, from the little people, or like having a laugh at that little person trying so hard. So in terms of being there, like if you are really understanding that you're being bumped around and you didn't really have enough street smarts, or you didn't have enough wisdom to really understand where you were going for a long time. For example, wow, this has been 10 years of being bumped around by other people, or like I've been totally taken advantage of actually, or I had no idea what I was going through. If you have these really big realities, which is actually part of rabbit, yeah, it's like you redesigning your life, and you kind of have to understand like something's been badly designed first before you redesign it. So it's kind of like a reality check that happens right before you are free or enabled to change your life and break through the previous patterns, which is absolutely fine. So you got to like kind of roll with the punches there. But if you are like coming to this really big feeling of needing to make amends, or recognizing that you have something going really wrong, like having no feelings, having no independence, you know what I mean, or like not really knowing how to like stand on your own 2 feet. For example, if your partner, your parents, or your family been paying for you, you never really actually understood what money was, or like, for instance, you've never really fully understood what love was, or you feel very like out of your depths with your own sexuality, with your own needs, or maybe you feel very out of depths as to how to run your own house or how to do business. That means something here. Now, this is interesting. When you are here, you are almost there. So we have Chiron in the sky, North Node conjunction, to recognize what you are going through and to realize you're not a fully fledged adult, or you have some kind of vulnerability, inability, or you kind of inept in some way. For example, you have a nervous system disorder, neurological dysfunction, or you don't have enough understanding of what life is, or you're not very savvy with business, or you're not very savvy with your friends, and you understand, wow, I'm actually nobody in the game. Also understanding that you kind of are losing something, like losing energy or money, or cannot generate your own, outcomes in life. That makes a very big point. Just to understand that is to be safe. To recognize your shortcomings, to recognize your, how can I say, lack, or to understand that there is like a not enoughness, is going to eventually pay you off, and is going to be like a really great choice that you're gonna have, just as long as you don't shut your eyes. So it's about bravery. This moon is definitely about being brave and being very sound, and being very maybe artistic or creative or altruistic, and being very strong, being kind of a hero maybe sometimes, or pretending that you are. And then we have to basically sometimes get it wrong to get it right. So that's also the next thing for some people. So sometimes you kind of step in it, and then you recognize that you've done it, and you have to walk out of it. So be careful what you wish for is probably the main slogan for this particular moon. Making a mistake, like doing a public speech, making a mistake, doing an investment, making an investment, completely going the wrong way, doing absolutely nothing with yourself, doing a bad job of something, my gosh, creating low quality goods, or not knowing how to really get yourself together. All of these inept kind of mistakes are actually a best part of this time, because Aries moon is awesome for it. She likes to, cook and clean and judge and think and feel, and, go out for rides and do crazy stuff on the road or with her friends. It's a very, very climatic moon, though, so it's not just an eclectic moon in terms of like what you can spend your energy or time doing. It's also understanding where you've come to an end, and this is important. Like, I can't do this anymore. I can't keep on trying to figure this out anymore. I can't bring myself to this anymore, which is what it will eventually peak. And then also we have to understand that a lot of mental and neurological disorders that are going to be coming through here are either going to be hiding by multitasking and having to be super person, superman, or superwoman, like having to be super clean, super efficient, or super busy all the time, or they've come exactly from that. So the reason why I feel so tired or so hard done by life could be potentially because you have made yourself a perfect person trying to be everybody for anybody, and that has to end. So also I have to say that there's a lot of idealism, and there's a lot of decision making in Libra during this time, and it is very, very prime, and it's very, very deep, and it's very sophisticated. It's next to Pallas, and it's next to Sappho. It wants to make a very feeling change. It wants to be a very, very big, mighty and important person. Also Homia and Mikey are close to the South Node, also in Libra. And there is this also Mars, it's trying to make a point, it's trying to make a change. In some cases, it's not just a world view, it's not just a person that you are, it's a certain type of pride that it takes to fill out a certain role. And Libra does like to role play. So what I could probably do here for you is suggest making friends only if you really have to. I have also just done the readings for October month for all signs, available on Patreon. Be okay at peace as to who is naturally there for you. Being absolutely fine as to how things have evolved and what the outcome is. So this takes a real mature adult. It's like, and this is the outcome of your life, my dear. Or like, well, this is the balance, and a lot of people, they won't probably get it wrong for too long, or in the end. I think that there are quite a lot of people that have to also break things because they don't understand them, like how children, you get them like a Christmas toy and they break the toy and they never get to play with it. But also, like, breaking the toy is part of a certain there's an important part of breaking toys for children, because it's kind of like part of their innate psychology and inner wisdom and a clarity as to what they're actually taking part in. So in a way, seeing a toy dismembered into many pieces is a perfect way to really understand what the product is. So in a way, many people are going to be standing in front of their lives as if it's been just put into separate components and certain things have been contrasted. But because of this, things are going to be clear. So no matter what, I feel, even in a very complicated human being, in a very, very dense and cryptic mind, there's still going to be a very nice and open-hearted choice. And many people are going to be, I think, saved from making really bad decisions and doing things backwards. So there's going to be somebody, maybe a mother, maybe there's going to be an archetypal elder or a system of people or a network that's got to be like, hey, don't do this, let's do something else. Maybe there's going to be that. And in certain cases, the disassociative feelings and the need for real education and real understanding of what you are doing, what you're up to, is maybe the quintessential energy task. Mastering, doing all of those things is good, and making sure that you get through the grind, you get through the day. So it takes a real hero, but like, who is the hero today? I think the hero is a person that can actually hack it. Can you handle it? So this is what this moon is about. Like, can you handle working and studying as well? Can you handle looking after all these people in your home? Can you be that person who's going to bring it anyway? Can you be the person that is going to be the hero at the end of the day by making it, how many objects can you make in a day? How many people can you call in one day? If you're working in telecommunications, like, how many errands can you do in one day? So it's kind of competitive, but yeah, it's like some people are masters because they can clean their whole house and organize the attic and the basement and the bathroom in one day. There's also a task master. So it's not just about how people see you. It's just being really good at things. And yes, where there's Chiron, there's savviness. So there is need to be savvy, and maybe we forget about the people that are there for us, especially people working very probably ordinary jobs, as fortune is in the 6th house. Coming up to the DC, we forget about people making money from very ordinary places in the world. People that just go around their day, and sometimes it feels like they're going around in circles, but brace yourself, because actually to a degree is going to be, I think, very obvious as to the patterns and the logic behind those themes. And we need to congratulate you if you don't work within any one of these patterns, if you're not just walking around in circles. But if you still can't make it out of the circle and you're looking for tighter and tighter circles, or your society or community is putting you to work or wanting you to stay there or wanting you to be just a boring old Joe, or they don't want you to evolve past a point, or they're trying to pack you into an even tinier, smaller, or less comfortable reality, maybe you need to let that shit go. And Libra is about the bowels as well. It is about the eliminatory tract, eliminatory systems, and to a degree is just about letting that shit go and trying to be an adult again. And the greatest part of this moon is not in all cases, but in some situations, is remaining clear, remaining guided, remaining significant, making sense, doing as you will, but also being careful with your life results and doing things exactly as you should have done, And yes, there's reparation possible. In certain cases, people will repair, like for example, repairing damaged tissues, repairing their tracks, like, okay, I'm not fluffing around anymore. Like, I know, like, this person took my breath away, or I know that I was really misguided by trying to assume this position in life, but, I have got myself together now and I will package my life, not necessarily package my life, but maybe I will do my life better. And in a big way, it is about the expert. Thank you very much for listening. If you like, check out my Patreon. I'm currently working on the almanac and I'll be posting it as soon as it's finished. Also, if you'd like to have a portrait with me, I am making portraits. I'm drawing people. If you'd like to book me for a portrait, you can. And yes, I'm doing 3-for-1 readings this month. If you'd like a reading, been very, very busy, so I'm sorry that I'm a little late with this video. And yes, thank you so much for connecting. I hope that you have a wonderful moon, and I'll see you next time.